Hey people, welcome to our Bettery Hub channel. And hey people, welcome and apologies, are technical, but it happens, right? In life, it's all about, how do we face adversities and subsequently come back. So we are back on game. Welcome to our Bettery Hub channel. And as I always say, I love Thursdays, to catch up with you guys. And, Bettery Hub channel is about today, this week, we actually have LifeWorks, where we bring you individuals who have put their passion into action. Thank you so much for joining us. And I think one of the key things that I would like to tell all of y'all is thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for consistently giving us feedback so that we can do it much, much better for you. And now, for those of you who have tuned in with us on YouTube channel, do remember, subscribe to our YouTube. And for those of you who are with us on Facebook and my LinkedIn page, do remember to connect with me. And for those of you who love, audio, then this particular video live chat podcast will be actually up on Spotify by Friday. So do remember to go and check out our Bettery Hub podcast on Spotify, and you can take a look and check out our podcast, which will be this current live chat. Now, let's talk about our today's guest. And now I have an awesome guest, somebody that, for the first time, we have a chef, on our show, and I'm really excited. I had a good conversation with him way before our live chat. So let's talk about our guest, Justin Foo, as he's going to share about navigating passions into businesses on our LifeWorks show and how he put his passion into action. Now, Justin started his journey by peeling potatoes at 16. So I just had a short conversation with him and asked him, hey, tell me more. And then he said, hey, I'm going to do it in the show itself. So, I'm looking forward for that. 15 years on, he took his passion and diversified into owning a food media business. All right. During his 14 years of experience in food and beverage, Justin has built not only a deep connection with food, but also a vast network of industry professionals and business owners. And he has led teams operationally in both the food and media industries, creating content for the table and on the screen. Right. So since 2017, Justin has focused on producing videos and events that take advantage of his unique position as both as a chef and content producer. So without any delays, let's bring upon Justin. Hey, Justin.
Hi. Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, Justin. Hey, thank you so much for joining us, Justin. Amidst your busy day of all your shooting and everything, it's great to have you on our show.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah, actually today I had my day started at about 7.
Exactly right. Thank you so much to join us. I mean, it's and when I started up, before our show, when I was having a chat with you at the back, and I saw that your energy level is still up there, and it's awesome. Thank you once again, Justin. I'm excited. Exactly. I'm excited with loads of questions for you, Justin, and for our viewers out there, do feel free to engage Justin with all your questions. Let's start the ball rolling. So, Justin, a brief introduction of yourself and the journey behind your current success.
Well, I mean, like you said, right? 16, I started peeling potatoes. So till now, I've done quite a lot last. But anyway, since then, this year actually it'll be 15 years that I've been cooking already. So I mean, for my cooking career, I actually went to chef school in Canada. I came back. But before I went to chef school, I started cooking in Singapore, one of those cafes, coffee club. I'm not sure if coffee club is still open. Anyway, I came back because I felt like Canada was a bit boring. I love Asia. It's so exciting. Worked with Andre Chiang and at his own restaurant. Now it's really closed already. That was at 20 years old. And then at 24, I became the very first head chef, an Asian head chef of a fine dining European restaurant, Senso back then. And then by 27, I moved on to still in the food industry, but I moved on to something a bit bigger, food services, and I became an F&B director there. And then I left. I opened my restaurant, and then I discovered that maybe I should try something new, not just cooking and restauranting. So it brings me here. I'm now the owner of my own brand, the Chef Justin brand, and also FTTG Media, which stands for Food, Travel, Tech, and Gaming. Esports, not casino gaming. So that's our media agency that does creative works end to end, and also do our own video productions. Yeah. So yeah, quite a mouthful, but that's a little bit about me. Yeah.
I love the way you summarize the whole your whole journey into such a short span. It's like crisp but very potent. Now let's say hi to some of our guests. We got Pesha. Hi Pesha. Yes, you should be excited. We have a chef on the show, and yes, we have Iskandar. Hey Iskandar.
Hi sir. Iskandar is my OC during my NSF days. So thanks for joining us up.
Yeah, and I shouldn't say this on live and catch Justin surprised, but we just had a chat what Justin's goals were when he was digging trench, when we were having a last conversation. So maybe Justin, you want to share on that? And we have
that.
Yeah, we should. And yeah, hi Sagun, thank you. Yes, sorry.
I don't know. You're saying something?
Oh yeah, saying hi to our guest. We have Paris. Hi Paris. Thank you for joining us. And yes, apologies. Now it's back to you, Justin. You are the man of the hour.
Always happy to have people who are so friendly online. So feel free to share. Like I want to speak to more of you because it's pretty interesting. I never talked to people on LinkedIn before. But anyway, yeah, back to when I was, I think I was 18. Yeah, and I went in pretty early for army, and then we're digging outfield, sweat, tears, blood, everything. And I had a conversation with my officer. He asked me what I want to do, and back then I already knew that I wanted to cook. I wanted to be a chef. And so I think I was very lucky early on that I knew what I wanted. And even before that, I knew I wanted in secondary school. At 15, I decided that I wanted to do food because my dad passed when he was very young, when I was 15. And he was a marketing director, very well to do in the MNC world. But of course, some setbacks and a lot of crisis, economic crisis. So and he worked really hard. So I thought, do I want to do like what my dad did? He worked very hard, So I thought maybe he likes to eat a lot. I used to be very fat, and so if he likes to eat, I'll celebrate that by cooking. So I that was something that inspired me to start off my journey in the kitchen. But very quickly later, I found out that being a chef is more tiring than what he did.
Justin, I have a compliment from one of the guests, right? You're saying that you love to eat and used to be fat, right? Right now, we have, Lipan who said that Justin looks like a Korean actor. I believe that's a compliment.
Thank you. Well, it's just the hair. You can just go and perm your hair. Ask for the Korean perm.
So, Lipan, where, to get your hair perm, right? To make yourself look like a Korean actor. And Justin, so about your early days, right? You were sharing. So, what were your learning lessons that made you what you are today? I mean, anything specific that hits the nail where you felt that this is something that made you what you are today?
I think early days, there were a few things, especially when we are in this new age where everything seems very tough, and especially I don't know how many of you are what your age group are. If you're just joining the industry or the workforce. Whatever it is, the tenacity that you need to have has to be built somewhere. And the very first experience I had was in my first job. Actually, I decided to go in at 16 thinking that, okay, maybe I would give it a shot. If I don't like it, okay, I can change. So the very second day of work, orders were stacking up, lunchtime, a lot of sandwiches are being ordered, and I was standing at the sandwich section. I was completely lost. So my chef came over and he was, like the usual old timers. They like to score a lot, F-bombs and, So that's okay. Verbal abuse I can take it. But beyond that, he actually was quite physical. He took a ladle and then he bang, oh, Justin, all this jam already. So I got hit and I bled a little bit. But the only thing that was going through my mind was, I have two choices, right? I leave right now or put my head down and prove it to myself more than anybody else that I can do this. And I decided on the second one. So I said, yes, chef, got through the day. And one day became the rest of my career. Yeah. So I think.
So, and now with your experience, we can see very well that even being a chef, or the journey being a chef is not as easy, right? I mean, what you have just described. Because we always look at the sexy side of being a chef, right? But I mean, there are so many other stuff that you just shared.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason for that, which I'll get to later. Why we only see the sexy side of chef. Yeah, it was hellish. When I came back, I was working in fine dining. It was worse. Because getting a peanut salary, working 90+ hours a week, that really trains your endurance to work. Yeah.
Right. And we have a question here from Iskandar. How do we get to eat your creations?
Oh, well, currently I'm actually doing private dining. But now my bookings, we're in July, middle-ish. So my next available bookings will be about end of August, for private dining. So I only do like groups of at least 6 and up to whatever the amount. I actually go to the people's house and cook. And yeah, but actually very soon I'll have quite new information for everyone who is tuning in. You can come down and it's easier to eat my food.
Nice.
Stay tuned. Okay, you can follow my Instagram or follow me. I will announce it. I cannot say anything right now.
Okay. It's a secret, right? So is it going to? They can expect this soon, lah. They can expect this soon, right?
Yeah, definitely in August onwards. Yeah.
All right, nice. So Iskandar, you heard that. So you just got to be a bit more patient for the good news, and things will happen. And now, one more thing, Justin, is like your current role as an entrepreneur. Maybe you want to talk about a brief introduction. About these FTTG media. What made you want to actually embark in that role? Because we have this mindset, right? If you are a chef, you're out there, and that's what you do. But you have a hybrid of both. So what made you want to go in that path?
Well, I mean, I take reference to what you said. We only see the glamorous side of what chefs are. So something also I learned very strongly at my chef school was marketing. Every time he would tell me, he's a French guy lah. Justin, marketing is the most important thing. He says things like, you can make the best shit, but if you cannot sell this shit, you are nothing. You are not a chef. So, so the lingo we have in the kitchen lah. So that really stuck with me. And the reason why we really see the glamorous side of things from our industry is because of media, right? If we don't have the right support of media, then we won't have the right output and the right branding that we want to have for ourselves. So it got me thinking after a while, after my restaurant I had, that if I want to pursue this, if I want to be a chef personality, then I need to control the company that is doing my media. So I thought, okay lah, let's the media company. And I actually, when I had my restaurant and I started doing a little bit of TV, and I realized that in Singapore and most around the region, the notable chefs that we see on TV, they're all the same few people. There's no refreshing of new blood. It's always the same style. It's always the same style of food content. It just gets boring. Like on MediaCorp, very few people watch MediaCorp. I mean, do you watch MediaCorp TV?
No, long time since I did that.
Exactly, right. So I mean, my vision is to put forward food content that is very different, so that people are more engaged, and talk to the younger audience because it's we need to update lah. We need to update this industry, especially for the food media side in Singapore.
Right. And I got some good news for you. We have Iskandar who chopped you in August. Anyway, for those of you, I think Justin already said Iskandar was his ex-officer in the army, but Iskandar, remember, you're no more his officer now, no? So you cannot just give him instruction.
Join the queue.
Join the queue, heard that? And yes, we have Feshi, yes, private dining. Yes, and don't worry, Peshe. Iskandar knows how to do that. So Iskandar will liaise with Jason. That's great. And so, Jason, I mean, you talked about the journey you went and everything, but what was the inspirational factor? You talked about the decision point, when you were thinking you have two choices and everything. But what inspired to implement your passion into action today?
Right. I think the or whatever I've talked about is all about making. It was after I decided to be an entrepreneur. So I think when we talk about putting passions into actions in this sense, is going beyond just being employed by someone else, right? Because we're all working with the set of time that we're given, with the energies that we have in the current situation, family, finance, or whatever. So I think having that entrepreneurial spirit in me was always quite innate. Like when I was young, I would make money off my friends by selling Tamiya car parts to them, right? So a partly of that can be is innate, but it also can be nurtured. So if you realize in your workplace and then you say, hey, you realize that, hey, I'm good at my job, right? And then people are always coming to you for expert advice or something, and that means you're an influencer of some sort in your current workplace. You have achieved some sort of mastery. So if you want to really take it further and you really decide that, hey, I actually take money out of this, right? Or if you're frustrated about the environment, that I like what I'm doing, but because of the structure that I'm in, I want to do things my way. And if you're one of those person, then yes, take that leap forward, right? Because if let's say cooking, if I don't have the passion for cooking, I would not even do anything that is peripheral to food, right? Because I'll burn out of the passion immediately. So for me, what inspired me was to really have that direct impact with people, right? And when you do work, a lot of times we talk about the passion is always very, very glamorous. It's very skewed towards the individual. But one thing I realized along the way, to really action your passions, you need to have great teams. And you can realize that as an employee as well, or if you are working full time. Within your team, you can actually kind of play a certain sandbox to see how well you do as an entrepreneur. And that's why you see a lot of people, we left this job, I started a company, but I used to work with this guy, I poached him over. So for me, the point where I took the leap of faith is that, okay, I decided that I've had enough of policies that are made by other people that I don't have the power to change, right? So I wanted to carve a way um, for the people that I work with, and make sure that they have, the good career advancement and have that really the impact on people's life. And if you are not interested in impacting people's lives through your product or your management of your company, then don't be an entrepreneur.
I think that's the key thing about entrepreneur. Right? It takes a lot of passion. It takes a lot of sacrifice. Of your time. I always believe that people see entrepreneurship as a very sexy word. It's like, yes, I want to be entrepreneur, but I think the sacrifice and the commitment that you actually have to put in, and like what you shared, it's a lot of I will say, a lot of passion towards what you are doing that actually gives you that energy to go on when things get hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah. Sorry, Justin, you're saying.
This kind of summarize that your passion is the car that you drive in, that what people sees, but under the hood, right, the engine is your team, right? And what your role is to keep giving them that fuel so that you can keep driving the passion with the team. So I mean, I hope that analogy helps, lah.
Oh, it does, and you are very spot on. And Justin, I look at it. You started at 16. You just shared your journey, the difficult situations you had, decision points you got to make. I'm sure that one of the thing about the ladle is just one incident. I believe I'm sure you had a lot of such incidents, but
A lot.
yeah. So we can go on for another 3 or 4 shows to talk about every single incident, I guess, with all the experience. But
tea on those notable chefs, huh?
and let's talk about what made you an expert you are today. I mean, over the last 15 years, what are the things that you did and you have achieved that made you an expert today and an influencer today in that industry?
I think on my own, it's a lot of practice in whatever you do. Like what you said, a lot of sacrifice is necessary. I remember when I was working when I was in fine dining, all my friends were still studying, and there was no way that I could meet up with my peers. All my friends were either my colleagues or people who are older, who had time to, hang out on Mondays. That's my only off day. So sacrifice is a huge thing. It's a very commonly used word, but it's very, very strongly felt lah. I mean, if you do decide. And okay, I kind of forgot your entire question because I was. It's been a long day.
I think it's more towards what allowed you to be what you are today. What are the things you did over the last 15 years to be an expert today?
Okay, so the sacrifice was important, and the next thing was having the right mentors. Right, so mentors can come in all forms. It's how you respond to people who you're working with. So for me, a lot of the times in the beginning part was mentors came in form of scolding, because chefs are very, very tough on you, but they mean well. They mean well to a certain extent because they want to be tougher.
Tough love, right?
So yeah, exactly. And this was when I was with Andre, and I actually was working with him very closely. I don't know how many of you viewers out there actually watched the Netflix show on Andre and his olive tree. It's about this Singaporean but Taiwanese-born chef, and it portrays him as a very nice guy, a visionary and everything. But there are more layers to him, let's just say. And I've learned a lot from him technically, and also how to manage people in the negative aspect, because I learned so much and it was engraved in me. When I moved on from there, I started also being very harsh to my team. So much so that at some point, right, people are just leaving. Even trainees come in one day and then they leave. And I was thinking, hey, this is how I learn, right? How come it doesn't work for them? Then I realized that not everybody's like me. Everybody has their own learning styles. Everybody has their own strengths, and weaknesses can be turned into strengths only if the leader is good. Right, and that's something I realized and I learned throughout working and having the right mentors. So I think that the great mentor that I had was when I was working in MNC Sodexo. He's another French guy, and he gave me the opportunities. So I think given that I was so young, but he placed me in a very big role, that's something that doesn't really happen much. So and these kind of opportunities can manifest in any ways in anybody's life. I think you have to be very aware about what is placed in front of you, and just take the risk to invest in yourself, to invest the training, invest the time to be uncomfortable a little bit if you are working for someone. And especially if you're an entrepreneur, although yes, you have to be cautious, but you always need to take risks, right? And I think along the way, after learning tenacity and endurance, after having the right people to learn the good things and the bad things from, you kind of find out when and how to take risks and different steps and different journeys of your life.
Right. And before we move on to the next question, Justin, I just want to tell Paris, you did ask a question on obstacles. So what I'm going to do is that we're going to definitely come into this topic about challenges in a way. So let's talk about about FTTG media, right? I can see that smile and the light from you, Justin, when we talk about FTTG media. So what inspired you to start FTTG?
Actually, funny thing, I didn't start this company on my own, right? So I was approached by a few people to say, hey, why don't we just come in together and then we do this? So there is a production team, there is an executive producer, and then they needed someone to kind of be the face of it all. And so they engaged me to be the host and also offered me shares to the company. But I'm not the kind of person, right? So I don't just go there and say, okay, I just do my job and then we see where this goes. So I was given opportunity again to join this group of people, and I took that and I said, hey, I think we can do more, right? So actually, we just wanted to start a food channel, and then we just do simple content, like, just do food video, cooking. Hi, how are you? This is how you cook a steak and everything, boring stuff. So we quite quickly we started to pick up a little bit bigger jobs, and we did our own content also to encourage other people to engage us lah. So from nobody, we started to get jobs from like MM2, MediaCorp, StarHub, and these things, they gain traction very fast. So we turned from just being a channel into really a full production house. And then after that, right, because of COVID and whatever, I thought that maybe let's focus a little bit. We don't do all the four things: food, travel, tech, gaming, because travel is out definitely. And then gaming is pretty hard because we don't have the expertise currently. So let's just talk about food, right? And tech maybe. So we really focused into doing food content. And after a while, we found our niche and our expertise. We play on everybody's strengths to come up with good content that engage. And I also have the responsibility to be the face of the company, so I have to actively keep pushing. And then now we come to a point where we actually just managed to secure a bigger backing from a big company. So now that's why I'm just quite tired. I need to manage everything, like daily operations, this transition, and then the future plans. But that came because they see the passion in us, and they see that this team that we have is very efficient, and we are, essentially good people, right? People want to work with good people, and now what we are doing is way more than just video production. So we are doing we are really a media agency from end to end, especially for food content, programming or whatever, for the screens. But now also we are getting into F&B concepts, right? So I don't open restaurants, but I will consult for people to do a certain brand of F&B establishment, and it could be just Singapore, or it could be taken regionally, internationally. Yeah, so it's playing on a very different idea of, you want to open a restaurant, I put money with you, then you open, so it's very different how it works right now. So now we come in with all the solution. I open a restaurant for you, I market for you, I do all the media assets for you. It's kind of like a full suite lah.
Right. And Justin, going back to your trench digging days, right? What you aspire to be and what you are heading towards now. Do you think you're on the right track, or have you even surpassed where you wanted to be? I mean, just out of curiosity.
Well, I mean, I don't think anybody of us who are in our 30s, right, should think back on our goals when we were in our 20s and not younger, because we all are a bit ludicrous. We're a bit, delusions of grandeur someday. Before I was starting, I thought by 30 I have my own Michelin star restaurant. And yeah, so I mean, in some sense that kind of happened, but I didn't get any stars. I did own a restaurant before I was 30. But then along the way, I also realized that, those dreams, maybe they're not evergreen, right? You have to always have an endpoint or a goal that is bigger, or if it's not so selfish. Because honestly, why do I want to have a Michelin star restaurant? It's just ultimately ego, right? It's just like, I've done something good, I can do good food, and everybody know me. So I think it surpasses my expectations and where I am at currently now. It's because ultimately, when we do business, it's about the people, and affecting people and impacting lives to even your staff or your clients or whoever. I think that's the greatest satisfaction that I've learned, and I think I've surpassed myself back then, where it's always so insular. Right? In business, we play by the rules, but rules are absolute. The people who decides whether you are playing by the rules or not are still people, right? So always think about people, because people run businesses. Unless AI come out, then I don't know what to say already.
All right, and talking about now, what can your viewers expect from your productions compared to any other similar shows, if there are? What can they expect different from you?
So I think what I am very proud of like recently is the what we did for MediaCorp. Every Tuesday in the morning in the news, we do this segment where it's a food program, but not really. It's essentially is a health and nutrition program, but it's delivered through food, right? So that has been receiving a lot of good engagement, and even the people who commission us themselves say that it's very refreshing. It's not our usual, hey, how are you? We're going to cook this today and this and that. It's just so boring. So I think moving forward, yes, there will still be those recipe videos. Yes, there will still be me cooking. But I think we are more mature than that as viewers. So I would want to make people feel something through the videos they watch. You can feel hungry. I hope makes you feel hungry. But it could be something like I cook this bowl of noodles that makes you think about a special someone because that resonates with you. Yeah, and it's all about story and framing, and that's why I think media and food just goes hand in hand so closely.
Yeah. So it's more like bringing them on a journey and for them to actually feel rather than the normal cooking shows and so on.
Yeah, exactly, and even more than that, right? Because of how we're going to work, how the company structure is, people can watch, they like it, and then they even come, then they can know where to find me. So they see me on screen, and then they can have my food in real life.
And in a way, you become familiar to them, right? You are, it's like, hey, I saw Justin, and even though it's on media, it's like they have this thing where they are connected with you way before even they meet you face to face, and that's the power of media in today's context.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to say it right, basically, it's like I get inspiration from Gordon Ramsay and Jamie Oliver, but I'm trying to do it millennial style, a bit younger, and a bit more catered to the future earning generation of the world.
Cool. I'm looking forward for your productions, more of your productions, definitely. And and yes, with all accomplishments, right? This is a most common word, right? Challenges. You don't see challenges, that means you're not on the right path. That's my belief.
Yeah.
And so, Justin, what were the specific experience that you want to share in terms of challenges? Any specific thing that you have to share?
I think there are two things really. The first is surviving versus driving, driving a passion, and I'll expand on that first. And then the second thing is, after if you do decide to be an entrepreneur or if not, you must always think of succession. I know it's very, our government always says succession, but it's also very important. Okay, the first part, survival versus passion. A lot of times we will think like, oh, do I really want to do this? I'm actually earning not bad. And even if you are currently a business owner, I'm very safe with this this income and revenue, but I really want to focus on what I really want to do and get money from that. I think there is always a point where you have to decide, and for whatever factors that you need to decide to risk your survival to drive towards the passion. Those things are never dependent on yourself. They're always dependent on the team you have. And something that I learned when I had my restaurant, I went into a bad deal. My partner basically wrote me back blank checks. I had to fund it myself, and I had to quickly raise funds. And until today, okay, luckily my mom helped so I need to pay my mom back. But we're not very well to do. I'm just saying, but she believed in me So in the sense, she was really my team. She really believed in me. And one thing I learned was these three things in the business, you cannot overlap: the investor, the visionary, and also the operator. Right. So I was my own investor. I was also the visionary person, and I was also operating. Right. So if you see in this trinity, whenever you are overlapping, right? Let's say you are an investor and you are driving the concept. If the concept if there's no more money, right, then you're very stressed out. Then you will never ever be true to your concept because you cut corners, right?
Hmm.
And if let's say you are the visionary and you're also the operator, and then you realize that hey, real life is not that, it's not rainbows and unicorns, right? So let's just cut steps, and then after that your quality goes down. It's worse than when you're all three because you just get tired and you're burning on both end of the stick, right? So as much as possible, I'll try not to have those overlap. Not every time you can raise an investor, but sometimes you can always find funding. It can be a bank or whatever. And if it's an operator, maybe they don't have to be a shareholder. Have the right team, right hire, and as if you are leading the vision, or if you believe that someone has a vision, get them, get a team. You cannot build a business on one person. And the second one was succession. Yeah. And that's probably what I'm facing now because when things are picking up, right, the human limit is only so much. So I need to have someone that is also like me, and also very driven so that we can split some work and have the right framework so that, what I'm growing can exceed me, myself.
Right. And we had this question, which was, what was your biggest obstacle that you had to overcome during your journey to where you are now from Paris? Is there anything similar to what you just said, or is there any specific obstacle that you can think of?
I think what I just mentioned, very, void of emotions. But what's really the biggest obstacle is, I think, react slower. There's going to be a lot of rejections, a lot of disappointments. And the disappointments will always be there. How you respond to it is what matters. So I think we cannot talk about one biggest obstacle, because there were many. I've got, my so-called business partner wrote me blank checks. Another person that I got into business with, turned out to be quite an unscrupulous character. I cannot go into those. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I think the overarching statement is that you're going to get very disappointed, like superbly depressed, and to the point like, oh man, why am I even trying? Why just go back to doing a regular job or like I'll go back to the workforce, but not at where I was at because I'm very paiseh to go back in, And I think that's very wrong because once you've gone out and tried that much and you did so much work to try something, I think there's a lot of value in that experience. You cannot downplay yourself. So if any of you actually are in that position and thinking of going back, I think now you are in a great place to recalibrate, right? And think about what you have learned and how that can be good for you in your future workplace. Or maybe start again. For me, I started again. I saw what I've learned, picked up what stuck with the crowd that I was targeting, and run with that, right? And everything else that I was not capable of doing, I find a team. I get connected with the right people, and it's very helpful to get those connections. I think I'm very blessed. I must say I'm very blessed, but you have to actively keep seeking for that connections, right? And then that will give you the energy to overcome the very bad emotions that you will face.
Yeah, you need to always have someone where you can talk to and say, and you feel that you are not alone. There are people who went through that, and that's what you're going through. So
yeah. It's a very lonely journey one. Yeah, you cannot go back to office and then complain to your colleagues because they're either your staff or they're your shareholders.
And they look up to you for inspiration, and the last thing they want to hear is your side of the story that can demoralize them, right? And that's always a challenge for all leaders, actually, entrepreneurs. Right. And thanks, Justin. And Paris, if this answers your question, just give us a thumbs up, or if you have any other questions, please do feel free. And thank you for engaging Justin with your question. Meanwhile, Justin, we'll move on. Now, I just want to ask you, what's unique about Justin Foo as a chef?
Okay, I'm gonna be a bit narcissistic here. But when I was in the kitchen, people always say, "What are you doing in the kitchen? You should be out there with a face like that." So I'm asking my father and my mother to give me this visage. And it really does help. But I think beyond that, beyond a phase, people are always looking for substance, right? So we need to show for something, so it's either, I think I myself, after investing so much time, I do know how to cook, and I do know how to I do pick things up very quickly. So instantly I can relate to people, and that is really helpful in business. Uh, but yeah, I mean, outwardly people will see that I'm a good looking chef, and if that's all they want to remember me by, so be it. I'm happy. But within my circle, I think people know me as someone who is also very reliable. I'm all about not just planning and dreaming, but also action, and follow up, right? So I think people appreciate that. With action and follow up, people appreciate that sincerity, that authenticity, and people will remember you. Yeah.
Right. And Justin, you shared a lot of obstacles, a lot of challenge that you went through, So now, are you a firm believer that failures are the best teachers? And is there any specific example that you have to share?
Definitely, definitely. If I were to highlight just one, they will be actually. It just came to my mind that this would be considered the ultimate failure, lah. Huh? Where it's the very first time I lost my job because of not being able to control my emotions.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm someone that I don't like to be fired. I'll either they will have a chat with me and we'll find an end of a contract, or I resign myself. But to be fired that way because of something that I myself know that I've done bad, that really stuck with me. So basically, I had a quarrel in the kitchen because of somebody coming and tell me that, hey, chef, you put one extra mushroom there. We are supposed to be giving 4, not 5. Can you imagine? So stupid, right? This kind of thing made me lose my job. But actually, there was a lot of things that added up, So I think I was going through a very bad time in my career, thinking whether I should just stick onto this or like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I just give up. The passion died. The work became a chore, and if you add everything else, right? Because life is not just about work. If you add everything else with relationships, friends, family, and it just became overbearing. I snapped, and I was very mean to everyone in the kitchen. I was very mean to my employers, and they said, "Okay, you can just pack up and go." So I packed up and go. That was that was a big fail for me, and that really taught me that I should listen more, and don't react so quickly. And people appreciate if you listen to them first, and find a solution before acting on a solution. Yeah, I mean there are bigger failures, but I think those were just necessary experiences. But this failure was entirely me, and I could have controlled all the factors, which I didn't.
And I believe this experience and failure has actually always been there for you to remind you that, hey, respond before you react, I believe.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Thanks, Justin. And now, my favorite part, rapid questions round. This is where I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, Justin. And then, let's, are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, Justin, what do you want to be remembered for?
That Singaporean chef.
Wow, nice. Simple but potent. All right. That Singaporean chef. Cool. And the legacy that you want to leave behind?
I guess it'd be a fairly large number of loyal team members or sincere connections that I made. Okay, at my funeral, I would want people to come and say Justin was a good guy, and he was there for me at some point in my life, which helped.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. And what do you see Justin in 5 years?
Hopefully doing the same thing, but on an international scale, not just in Singapore.
Right,
And
nice.
I'll earn a bit more money lah, hopefully lah,
And I also, since you already have this in mind, then I also chope you for 5 years time. I would like to call you for my life already. All right.
Money is secondary. Okay, I think if you are driving a business, if you're doing a good job, money will come find you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the passion and it brings the rest, right? Money becomes a by the way that it will be there. All right.
But yeah, go ahead again.
Yeah, and now your biggest challenge. You shared a lot, but if you make it short, and your biggest challenge, what would it be?
Now, finding a successor.
Okay, something interesting.
Right. I know it's early in the game, but it's never too late.
Right, finding a successor. Right, so people out there, Justin is looking for a successor. So if you can, go up to him and show him that you are one, possibly, right?
Yeah, if you're the next 15 years of your life, yeah, come.
Yeah. And then remember, you got to go through the ladder. That's a part of the initiation process. Right. Okay. Last one will be your greatest achievement.
I think I broke the mold of what a chef is in Singapore, especially from being basically a potato peeling kitchen troll into a chef personality who has his own media production agency. I think that's my greatest achievement thus far.
Yeah, I think that's definitely. I mean, on my we had this chat, right? I mean, when I knew that you were peeling potatoes at the age of 16 and what you are today, I mean, it's really awesome, right? And that invokes a certain level of inspiration within me. It's like, wow, this guy, this is where he was, and awesome. Yeah, thanks. And we got some comments from our viewers. Hi, Meritus, glad to see you. Yes, failure is success in progress. Good evening. And of course, then we have Paris. Passion gravitates many elements. Thank you, Paris. Anyway, Paris was an ex-regular, and right now he decided to pursue his passion in action. So I think he left the forces.
Go for it. Go for it.
Right. And now just as we spoke, right? 47 minutes, 48 minutes just went, and I still feel like it was just like 15 minutes. And we talked about this earlier. So, no. I mean, there's a reason why you're here, right? We want to hear. The viewers want to hear from you, not from me. They have heard enough of me. Right. So, Justin, any word of advice for our viewers who are, who are looking to implement their passion into action?
Well, for me, I think it's. I mean, this is just from me. It doesn't maybe it worked for me. I'm not saying it's a broad sweeping statement, but I think you have to be very focused and quietly confident of your value, in your morals and also your capabilities, right? And if you really do intend to better yourself or put it into action, get yourself connected with mentors, good ones, but with intention to listen more than talk, of course. And when you're finally prepared, don't procrastinate. Do it. Because now everything is changing so fast, right? Not like last time. So don't procrastinate.
Yeah, I mean, it's no more new norm. It's like, what's the next norm, right? It's like things are changing that fast. So exactly. Yeah, cool. Thanks, Justin. And for those of you, who want to check out more of Justin, just visit his website, Chef Justin info, and you can take a look at what Justin is up to. And of course, you can always link up with Justin on LinkedIn and on Facebook, and you can contact Justin, right? And with
on Instagram.
Yes,
so
yes.
so you can find me there. Yeah. Justin FGH. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So thank you so much, Justin. I mean, it was an awesome session. I loved your stories. I love the challenges, and I think thank you so much, because I guess the viewers' engagement was great, and we have answered so many questions. Justin, I'm looking forward for the next 5 years, and I will definitely look out for your growth, and stay tuned to your broadcast productions.
Thank you so much for today. Thank you everyone out there for asking me questions. It's been great fun. Thank you again.
All right. Thanks, Justin. So we'll catch up soon. And thank you being part of our Bettery Hub Channel journey.
Thank you.
All right. All right. I think it was an awesome show. I enjoyed myself as usual. Great guest, Justin. I love his story, especially on the ladle. And I think he censored quite a lot of the experiences he had. I'm sure he had many, many more challenging experiences. In fact, he just reminded me of my army days. I didn't know chefs have to go through such challenges. But I think that's the key, right? So thank you so much for all the viewers. No live chat is complete without you. So thank you so much for spending your time with us and engaging our guests today with your questions and your encouragements, and of course your feedback that is always very valuable for us to help us to do it better for you. So thank you so much, and we will be catching up with you next week. Now, before we move on, I would like to just do another reminder that for those of you who are who have missed partial or any part of our live chat today or even the previous ones, just check out our Bettery Lab YouTube channel where we have all our live chats there. So stay tuned. You will have enough live chats for you to be busy. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And with that, we will see you next Thursday, same time. And it's awesome to have you all here. So with that, thank you so much, and do remember to take action. And as I said, do not be scared or do not fear to have massive goals. And of course, massive goals require you to do or have massive actions. So with that, thank you and see ya.